But I do know whatever judge scored it 4 rounds to 1 to Valentino to get sacked. Play silly games, get silly prizes. Hopefully he's a little bit more active as well. Get 2 fights out of him a year, be great to watch. Yeah, I think first or second round, I think I'm going to catch him with one of these little tricks that old Carl and my old man have been stuffing up the sleeve. Yeah, I don't think you need... I think it's great to go out there and train and experience it, but I don't think you need to up and move your camp, to be a world champion. It's a perfect punch. It was literally a perfect punch. Episode 1 of the Chance Up podcast.
Bang. If it's beefy and losing, keep it moving like a caravan. See feds at the back door. Get door, that's what we trap for. Some man, they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, rolls back, my flow sharp like a hacksaw.
Episode 6, mate.
Episode 6, we're back. Joe's married.
Things have changed. I was already married, but it's like kind of...
you weren't properly married.
Didn't count, did it?
His life of sin is over. He's finally rightful in the eyes of the church. So congrats on that one, Joe Boy.
Cheers, mate. I don't know if I believe in the whole church thing. I think it's nice to do, but I think you just kind of do it because it's a nice place to do it, isn't it? More than anything.
Yeah. I think marriage these days is one of them. It's more of a like, to officially make you the title rather than to do it in the eyes of God and all that and stuff. Like you said, I'm the same as you. I don't know if I believe in all that, but I
think it's nice when you
do
it.
Nice spot, yeah.
When you actually do it, right? The thought of it, I'm like, why are we even? Like, don't be wrong. Like, I love you, I love my missus and whatever. But you're kind of like, why are we doing this thing? Why can't we just agree we both love each other anyway without doing it? But then you do it. It is a really nice day, but. You could probably have a lot of nice days out of what it costs you. But
I like you say about the church, and I went to Brett Johns' wedding. Quick congrats to him and Caris on getting married last week. But he didn't obviously get married in a church. He got married in this venue down in Swansea. And I haven't been to too many weddings, but it was without doubt the nicest wedding venue I've been to. It was overlooking the sea. It was a lovely day as well. It was just the way they set it up. It was mint in there. So. Yeah, congrats to them as well on a lovely day, and they're in the Maldives now, taking even more out of the Pikey's wallet. So I don't blame her. She's married now, Caris. Half is yours. So just keep taking it. Just keep taking it.
Your missus will be on your case.
She is on my case, to be honest. She already is, but I'm a busy man. So
once they start on your case, mate, it just gets more
gets more and more.
My missus says like she ground me down. Basically, I didn't have a choice in the end.
Well. My buddy Truth got engaged a couple of weeks back, and as soon as it happened, my missus was almost like looking at me to say, "It's coming, like you better fucking get a move on." But no, it'll happen eventually.
It's when there's loads of people
when she least expects it, Joe, isn't it? The element of surprise.
It's when everyone else around you've been with their partners less time is doing it. Then they start pressing like. But yeah, I mean, it's been just. Mad couple of weeks really. We haven't done anything apart from we've been filming some vlogs, but that fight we'll talk about the weekend, is it?
Yeah. What a fucking card. Out in Singapore, obviously it wasn't like it was a big card obviously because of the 2 title fights, but for a pay-per-view, I mean, they lost the Whittaker fight, and I think Whittaker was going to fight Vittoria. I think they lost that fight, which would have been a big selling point. So like the first 2 guys on the main card, I think they're Australian guys, and I knew who they were, but I suppose as like a casual fan watching a pay-per-view, you probably wouldn't have known who they were. But them 2 fights are unbelievable. Joanna and Wei Lee, they picked right up. They picked right up where they left off in the last fight. The first round, I was just sort of watching, thinking, we fucking go again. Joanna started so good. She looked sharp as she's looked for a long time. Took her off her feet with a leg kick. Then Wei Lee comes back and hits her with a big massive takedown and pretty much molds her then for like 3-4 minutes, and Joanna finds her way up and starts landing combos, and then you think, here we go, we're gonna have another 3 round of it. Here we go, it's gonna be another barn burner. But fair play to Wei Lee, she's so explosive and powerful for that weight, and obviously put her out with a spinning back fist, which led to Joanna retiring. And for me, I don't think Joanna gets enough credit, to be honest. I think she was at one time, even when you consider, she came up in the Ronda Rousey era, I think she was the real trailblazer for the women's division. She brought a lot of eyes on women's MMA, especially in Europe, being from Poland, and there was a time where you just didn't think she could lose, and in all fairness to her, apart from this fight obviously on the weekend, every fight she has lost, apart, and obviously the Rose fight, but she's never outclassed ever. She may get caught with stuff, but a lot of the time she's very, very good. So yeah, obviously she's retired now, and her career, I think she was the 8-time World Muay Thai champion, first ever or second ever UFC women's strawweight champion, and just probably turned herself into a multi-millionaire just through being such an incredible athlete. So she deserves to have an happy retirement. She's made plenty of money, and I'm sure she'll still be in the sport anyway. She's a good character. The fans love her. The UFC obviously like her. So yeah, that and obviously Whaley now will go on to fight for the title.
Being where she's from as well, I suppose, moving forward, like she can be like kind of like an influencer where she is in a sense, because there's not many like big stars coming out of Poland like that's mainstream anyway, is there? I'd imagine that she'd be able to make plenty of money going forward, doing whatever she wants to do. And
well, she said it herself, didn't she? In the interview, she wants to be a mother, and then she wants to become a businesswoman. People got to understand there is a life after fighting. She said herself, she's been in the sport 20 years, so from the age of 15 she's been fighting, and that's a long time on the body, on the mind, like physically, mentally, emotionally. So she set herself up. No doubt she's got a healthy looking bank balance, and let her go on now and explore other areas in life. There is I do believe though she'll end up doing something for the UFC, whether it be a little bit like you see Bisping and Dominic Cruz and stuff like that, whether she'll be on the desk, whether she'll be a big face in like the UFC Europe scene. That's what I think she'll end up going on to do, because you can tell that I think they are grateful for what she's done for women's MMA. So yeah, that was a great fight. Shevchenko and Santos as well. Bit of controversy around that one for me. First time we've ever seen Shevchenko really, apart from when she fought Amanda, look human at flyweight. Anyway, there were areas in the fight where you thought she could get finished. Yeah, I think Santos had her back and was pressing for a choke in the first and the third round. It seemed all one-way traffic to me. I mean, I'd have to maybe I'll think different when I watch it back, but it looked like it was all one-way traffic till they obviously smashed heads in the fourth round. I think fractured Santos's orbital bone, and then it started to sway towards Valentina a little bit then. But yeah, I don't know whether I would have scored the fight to Santos or whether I would have scored it to Valentina, who was very close. I'd have to watch it back, but I do know whatever judge scored it 4 rounds to 1 to Valentina or to get sacked. Yeah. I get that. I see a lot of people on Twitter about there's all this talk. It's damage scores fights. You got damage to win, but would having someone's back and nearly choking them out not be considered as damaging? If you have got someone compromised, like a bit like Aljo and Peter Yan in that 1 round, like that's it for me. That's a 10-8 round. If you have got someone completely compromised in a position where they can't get up, they can't get out, and they're at a serious threat of getting choked out or submitted, that for me should score higher than a couple of punches off your back or looking to get up to your feet. It's
kind of like the equivalent of dropping someone but not finishing them, isn't it?
Yeah, in my opinion, that's exactly it.
Just in a state of submission rather than knockout.
That's exactly it. It's the submission version of that. Is if you was to seriously hurt someone on the feet and nearly put them away, but they survive, it's probably going to be a 10-8 round. So I think if you take someone down early on in the round, control them and dominate them, and then obviously almost submit them like Santos did. I'm not saying Santos deserved a 10-8 round, because I think at the Aljo and Peter Yan, the 1 round should have been a 10-8 round. But in terms of the Valentina fight, I'm not saying it was a 10-8 round, but for me, she definitely won the first and the third, just based on the fact that the fight was fairly even up until she flipped the switch, took her down and almost submitted her. She had her back in the first round for a couple of minutes, I think, if I go and watch it back. So, yeah, terrible judging to score it 4-1. 3-2 either way, I wouldn't have argued, I don't think. But 4 rounds to 1 was a bit laughable. But yeah,
it's happening all the time, isn't it? It's crazy. It must be the same bloke, I reckon.
It gotta be, yeah. Someone sack him off. But like we said, it's the first time she's looked human, Valentina. Like, I think all the other fighters in the division were probably praying for a Santos win to try and mix it up, mix it up a little bit. But I can't see him doing the rematch straight away because of her eye. I'm assuming I'll need a bit of time to heal. But I've seen Dana was very high on the Brazilian girl all the fight week, saying how he was sort of baffled how she was such a big underdog, and how she seriously could beat Valentina. So yeah, hopefully they get to run it back before Valentina jumps up to fight Nunes or Pena.
People take everything on name value, though, don't they? Like, you know, I haven't really heard of that other girl that much, and neither of the general public. So naturally, they're going to be like, how am I going to bet on this person I've never heard of? You're always going to go with the person who's got like the name on you.
Of course you are. Same with Pena and Amanda, wasn't it? The first fight, naturally, because of how good Amanda is and how dominant she's been. I mean, I know who Pena was, and a lot of the hardcores do. But like you said, general guy who's into his MMA probably hasn't watched that many of her fights. And, you know, even I, as someone who knew didn't think she stood a chance, and she just flipped the script on all of us. Now going into the rematch, she's a bit more of a well-known name now. So, like you said, you do go... The thing with MMA and boxing, you go on face value. Look at Canelo and Bivol.
Yeah, you just thought that was
a lot of people, because it's Canelo, not like you said, Bivol's not necessarily a pay-per-view star or worldwide star yet. Just assume, Canelo knocked him out. But, you know, they didn't go that way, did it? And even looking back years and years ago when it was Joe Calzaghe against Jeff Lacey, you know, Jeff Lacey was the Olympic champion, the next Mike Tyson, the undefeated American. People just assumed he was going to win. And, you know, all the Welsh sort of was rooting for Calzaghe. I doubt many people out in America really knew who he was up until that fight, and he came out and schooled him. So it does pay to do a little bit of research sometimes, you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely. Well, I think you just mentioned Mike Tyson. Now, have you seen this video of this bloke going around that fought Mike Tyson years ago? He's a bouncer now. Have you seen it?
No.
I haven't sent it over to that yet. I'll airdrop it over now, but we'll just cut a little bit, because it's funny. I think you'd watch this. We'll get this on the screen then for everyone else to watch at the same time, but we'll just watch it on my phone, is it? What do you think of this? Like, because...
I have seen this video.
You have seen it?
I've literally watched it. I actually just put a tweet out about it.
Just put a tweet out about it? I just
put a tweet out about it, yeah. The guy has fought Mike Tyson, isn't he? Yeah. So when I put the tweet out, I didn't know who the guy was.
Well, apparently that's what it said in the description.
Yeah, and it is, because John Gooden knows him. John Gooden, the UFC coach, just replied to my tweet now saying he picked the wrong guy, because this guy... but when I put the tweet out, I didn't know who this guy was. And what cracks me up the most about this video is there's a... See the bald guy there at the front? Yeah. There's a bald guy, and if you... boom, hold that. There you go. Play silly games, get silly prizes.
He is out.
Don't be a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead. How does that end well for anyone?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But what's the funniest bit about that? We won't do it now, but if you go back and watch the beginning of that video, there's a bald guy who's with the guy that's kicking off, and he's in this smaller bouncer's face. The bouncer's like small, skinny guy, and he's in his face. Don't you fucking touch him, giving it the big I am. He looks round, and the big dog there obviously has just chinned his buddy out cold, and he's gone from hard man to victim in about a split second. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why have you hit him? And that's why I tweeted out. I said, how come the bald guy went from chucking his weight about to the smaller guy to not wanting to know when the big dog just cleaned his mate out. You know, if you're that wound up, surely you'd want to pitch into him as well. Like, I'd like to think if I got laid out, like my buddies, at least try and fight him. You know,
you just realised he just bottled it, screwed,
just shit himself. So you know, yeah, it's easy to pick on the smaller guy of the crew, and then the minute that your mate gets laid out, you start thinking, ugh.
It was like it was nothing as well, wasn't it?
But I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know who this guy was until I seen the tweets off John and that. So this guy is obviously a former boxer, and he's a big fucking guy, and you can see by looking at the video. But
I just seen that this morning. I thought, we got to watch that one.
Why are people like Joe? And I don't want to sound like I'm copying Joe Rogan here, but why are people so confident in confrontation when they haven't got a clue how to fight? And they don't know who they're fucking about with. Like, I always use the example, like I see boys on nights out and stuff, and they're so keen to have a scrap, and it's like, one day you're going to run into someone like that, or Jack Marshman, or, you know, someone, or I don't know, fucking hell, even someone like look at young Johan from the gym, 16 years old, like a man and second look him in the pub, I expect, and start on him. You're going to get fucked up fast. Like, why are people so confident in confrontation with no like experience of being able to handle yourself? Like, I don't look for confrontation. I know 90% of the boys in the gym will walk away from confrontation because they know they're tough and they know they can handle themselves, so they don't need to prove themselves to everyone. And you always find out that people with a bit of edge about them, they don't feel the need to tell everyone how tough they are and prove it. Whereas you got guys like that who get a little bit too big for their boots. Like, that's going to haunt him for the rest of his life, because that's, especially with like the social media era now, like, there's one thing getting knocked out in the cage, you're fighting the best guys in the world. To get laid out on the street like that, if you've got a bit of a street rep or you're a bit of a tough guy, a bit of a gangster, then that one's going to haunt him for a long, long time.
Sadly, though, that bloke will probably go press charges on that guy as well, wouldn't he? He'd probably be like, he sparked me out, he's a bouncer. Yeah. He'd probably be claiming like innocence over it all. He did swing a punch, though, to be fair. He is on video, he swung a punch over the fence at someone, didn't he?
Yeah, so he did. I mean,
fact, I reckon.
You'd hope so. It's the same with, I know, like, they seen the guy with Mike Tyson on the plane. He's not pressing charges, and I think it's probably because there's video of him, like, sort of instigating the situation. And a lot of the time, I mean, I don't know, it's a tough one, because he has laid him out cold, but at the same time, the guy has sort of defended himself, I suppose, in a...
He's just swung for the other guy. He's walking towards you.
Yeah.
Are you going to let him put
and do you know what the maddest thing is as well? I see people on Twitter defending this guy. Yeah, saying absolute no need from the bouncer. He was walking away.
Towards him.
He wasn't walking away, right? You've just tried to kick off on the smaller guys, and he's fucking walking at the guy aggressive. I think the guy was well within his rights to chin him, to be honest, because how do you know, like, well, you're going to let him walk towards... He wasn't walking away from the situation. He was walking towards the other bouncer, fancied his luck, and ultimately paid
you
paid
don't
the
know
price.
What this guy's got on him or anything, do you, at this point? Like,
No.
I'm not being funny. You don't know who this guy is.
You could have it, exactly.
Like,
could have, especially in today's day and age, you could have knives, you could have anything, and you don't know who his mates are, what they got on him, what their background is. So yeah, good on him. Got a bit of street justice prevailed.
I do
on that
think
one.
the big guy was pretty chuffed, though. Did you see his
Oh
face
yeah,
as he was
fucking
walking
right.
off?
He should be. So he should be. That's a hell of a knockout. One punch starts him. He's probably looking at the camera thinking, yes, this is good. Yeah, put it this way: if he goes to jail, he ain't gonna have much problem, is he?
I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
Fucking hell of a video.
What a shot! I was gonna say, back to the speaking of mental fights, we didn't go over the Glover fight. Glover and Jiri. Jiri. I don't know how to pronounce it. But what a fucking fight! I think probably the best fight I've seen since like you're talking Jon Jones, Gustafsson, or Henderson, Shogun. Like, that's right up there. There was like 4 or 5 points, maybe even more than that, throughout the 5 rounds, where I thought this is over. There was points when Glover had full mount, dropping bombs at his back, nearly choked him, and I'm thinking, this is it. And then there was points where Jiri, I always say his name right, because I don't want him coming for me, like, but I think
he's a Zen guy.
I think he hit him with a flying knee. I thought he's got him. Glover rocked him then in the 5th round, pulled the guillotine.
I was so gutted at that point.
I was gutted
to win, like, personally.
And again, I see him getting a lot of not stick, but people are like, why did he pull the guillotine? But when you're fighting on instinct like that, like I think, I'm not sure what the cards were saying. I think the one judge had it to Glover, the one judge had it a draw, and the other judge had it to Glover. But it was that close of a fight. If I'm Glover, I'm probably thinking the same thing. I wouldn't have pulled the guillotine. I would have tried to finish him with strikes. But I'm probably also thinking this could go either way. You'd rather take your chances on a finish. Yeah. But what a fight! Like you said, just could have been over at about 5 or 6 different points. Jiri was rocking him, Glover was rocking him, then Glover was nearly submitting him. Then, like, in the 5th round, Jiri's doing the damage on the feet and then pulls out the sub. I seen a tweet. I think some guy bet 5th round submission for Jiri, and I think he put like £2 on and had like £800 back. That's how mad the odds were. And there's not many experts would have picked a Jiri round 5 submission. Let's be honest, or Jiri.
Submission anytime, you wouldn't.
You would have picked Glover for submission. I mean, I think the general consensus was Jiri will either start him early on, or Glover will get him down and put him away. But it just goes to show, like, I think he played a bit of gamesmanship in the build-up. Jiri was saying, he doesn't play about with jiu-jitsu. He's but obviously you watch that fight, you can see the guy has got a good ground game. There was times when he controlled on top. There was times where he was in danger underneath and just did enough to keep himself safe. So that's a guy who's well versed everywhere. And there was just so many times where you're thinking, right, if you keep top position, you're gonna finish him, and Glover would get out. Then the arm triangle, and he did some mad fucking backwards roll up to his feet, and then to sub him, Like, what a fight. And they get, like, I think he's probably my favourite fighter now, Jiri, after that.
Yeah.
Like, he's a modern-day samurai. Like, you watch him training, he's punching trees, he's fucking about with a samurai sword. You watch him on the runner, how do you train for a guy like that? You can't. You know, you cannot. Him and Jon Jones would have been, you know, it's hard to ever pick against Jon Jones in his prime, I know, but him and Jon Jones would have been fun to watch. But there's plenty of good, like him and Jan will be a good fight. Him and the Russian Ankalaev. Him and Anthony Smith is a good fight. That division is getting back to how it was before Jon Jones took over, you know, where the belt was jumping around from Machida, Shogun, Rampage, Rashad, Liddell, Forrest Griffin. You know, no one was holding on to the belt, and it's almost going the same way. But great to see, you know, and Glover, like 42.
Fuck, it's insane.
42 and still, like, you know, if he had survived another 30 seconds, he probably would have won the fight on the cards. I seen him say he's going to keep going. I don't know. I'm in two minds about that because he did look good, but at the same time, you know, what's left to prove? The only way I'd like to see him keep fighting is if they say, you know, jump in, let's have an immediate rematch. Because it was that good a fight. I don't think anyone is 100%. I don't think anyone's ever going to complain at watching them two fight again. So what a fucking fight. And
Go on. Does the only person really to step into this time is Jan, because Smith and Ankalaev are fighting, aren't they? And like, does he deserve it? I know, like, he won his last fight, but it wasn't like
not controversial, but like you say, it was he won it via kind of like an injury. I agree with you. I think just do the rematch. Jan can fight the winner of Smith and what's his name? Ankalaev.
Probably saying it wrong as well.
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like a body part.
Yeah, run it back. Run it straight back. Like and let's remember as well, Jiri is his third UFC fight. And he's not a regular competitor either. Like, he fought on Fight Island a couple of days for me, and I remember watching him and thinking, who the fuck is this crazy guy with the fucking big thing on top of his head? And he knocked out Volkan. And straight away, when you see a debut guy in with Volkan Ozdemir, you start to think this guy is obviously got a bit about him. So I had a little look, and he was the rising champion. He's on like a 20-odd fight knockout streak. Starches Volkan. Dom Reyes then goes the distance with Jon Jones. Some people feel like he won. He comes in and starches Reyes, and now he's just beat Glover, who's the main man in the division at the minute. I think he's a nightmare for anyone just because of how he fights as well. Like, and what I love about him, there's no point scoring with any of them, was it? It was like, no, I'm just fighting for the finish. I'm not here to win on points. I'm not here to try and rack up points. I'm here to try and pull you away. Proper modern day samurai. What a legend that guy is. Like, he's not even 30 yet, I don't think, is he?
He's quite young, isn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure. But like you said, the free fight thing is crazy. And there wasn't 30 seconds in that fight where if you clipped 30 seconds, that fight was boring. There was no 30 seconds.
There was constantly something happening, and it was constantly either one of them pushing for either Yuri's pushing for the finish or Glover's pushing for the... Like, you look at that fifth round, this is how bizarre a fight it was. You would have picked Jiri to win the stand-up exchange and Glover to win the ground exchange. In the fifth round, Glover rocks Jiri on the feet, and then Jiri ends up subbing Glover. Like, that's just MMA in a nutshell. You think you've got it sussed, and then you just never know what's going to happen.
Did you see Dana's reaction? Have you seen that? It's floating about.
Yeah, brilliant. I think Dana was a few howler heads deep at that time as well when he was he was losing his mind. But yeah, let's run it straight back.
What a star though! Like, if he beats Glover now, do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be hell of a star. He's already a star anyway, just from that finish. But if he beats him like in dominant fashion the next time, he's like almost just like you say, the way you look at him, he's a modern samurai. He's got this different way about him. He's like chilled. He knows who he is.
You know, he reminds me a lot of not his style of fighting, but his demeanor reminds me a lot of Fedor back in the Pride days. Doesn't say a lot, quietly confident. You know, traditional martial artist, like you said, his way of the warrior, and he's zen and he's doing all these unorthodox sort of training techniques. And Fedor was a little bit more conventional, but he was the same one, you know, didn't do many interviews, didn't hear a lot from him unless he was fighting, was respectful, but at the same time brought maximum violence. And that's what he reminds me of. And like you said, if he can solidify himself now and take out, you know, your Jan and take out your Ankalaev and take out Anthony Smith, take out Glover again, there's big fights here for him. Does Jon Jones come back down, or does he go up to fight Jon Jones? Does he go up to fight Francis? Because he's a big guy. I don't think he cuts a lot of weight, but he's got the frame to go up to heavyweight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. Hopefully, he's a little bit more active as well. Get 2 fights out of him a year, be great to watch.
Definitely. John, like just looking at the photos of him, I don't know, maybe he bloomed up like that in between camps anyway. But it doesn't look like he's going to be making a move back down, does it?
No, I think he's only interested in the heavyweight title, John. He looks big, and obviously he's taken, whether that's because they can't come to an agreement or fight or I don't, but he's taken a long time to get used to that weight. I think he's probably done it the right way. Rather than just think, I'll just go in there how I normally do. He's put a bit of size on. He's probably worked his strength. He knows he's going to be dealing with bigger, powerful guys. But I've obviously seen John in person when I trained out at Jackson's for a month a couple of years ago, and I thought he was big enough to be an heavyweight then, let alone now I heard he's walking around 245, 250, which is fucking big, because I know he used to walk around about 230. So if he's put on the size right, and if he can carry the same sort of speed and explosiveness in that he did at light heavyweight, then he's dangerous. But at the same time, we won't know till we see. It's all well and good us thinking we got it sus, but we have got to see him in there against a Stipe or Francis or a good level heavyweight. We got to see that from the off, because if we don't see it, we got nothing to gauge it on. So
changes a lot though. Like I know like he's a world-class athlete and he's doing it all the right way, but like for instance for me, a couple of stone difference, like if I'm out running or whatever, a couple of stone lighter, nothing hurts. A stone lighter, I'm getting shin splints. 2 stone heavier, everything just starts hurting in different areas.
It's the old saying as well, isn't it? A good big man will always beat a good little man. That natural weight, like you think Francis is probably 280. So say John even is 250, he's put on 20 pound to get to 250. Francis has got to lose 15 pound probably, or 20 pound to make the heavyweight limit. He's still going to be 15 pound heavier than what John is. I know that doesn't always mean anything, because there's been guys like DC and Cain Velasquez who have won the belt that, your 240s, your 250s, but they are a different breed the ever you go. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'd imagine he's going to feel sluggish. Like you'd imagine, wouldn't you? I don't know.
Well, when McGregor went up to fight Nate for the first fight, and obviously picked up the loss, he said after the fight, didn't he? He said that he was just constantly eating because he didn't have to worry about the weight, and he felt like it affected him. He felt too full almost. He didn't feel he didn't feel as athletic as he usually would. And again, Nate was a big guy compared to the guys he was fighting at the time, and there's some, like you said, there's something to that. You go for a run at 10 kilo heavier than what you walk around at, you feel a little bit slower, you get a little bit tireder, a little bit faster. So it'll be interesting to see. But one thing for Jon Jones to be said is I think he is he's very like OCD in his approach. He's very like, he doesn't do anything without a reason or a method behind it. So if he has put on the weight, I would suspect he's done it the right way, and he's probably, he's got unlimited funds pretty much, John, the money he's made. So he's probably doing tests to check his speed and his explosiveness is up the way it needs to be. So that's what I'd like to see. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be him and Stipe anyway, so we don't have to worry about Francis yet. But Stipe's a tough fight for him. But I think John is the best to ever do it. I know there's controversy with the PEDs.
The picogram.
And the picograms. But in my opinion, technically and, in terms of his resume, he's the best to ever do it. So along with GSP, I'll say that, along with GSP. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Just the fact he's never lost, though, as well, isn't it? That's
exactly, yeah.
I know Khabib's the same, but the level of opponent in it, I feel, is
yeah, and the
different.
time he's done it for. Like, Jon Jones have almost reigned through 2 different generations of fighter. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, he's fought like the old school guys, like your Machidas and your Shoguns and your Rampage, but then you look at he's beat the newer breed guys, your Santos, Reyes, DC, If look how good DC is. Like I always say, if Jon Jones went around, DC would be in a position like the women, I think, where at light heavyweight there would have been no one to even get near him. Yeah. And I think that now, even the current state of it, whereas he just happened to be about the same time as Jon Jones.
Yeah, there's literally everyone else, DC, and then Jon, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. The rest of the division was you, DC and Jon were you. It was just Jon was a little bit in front of DC.
Yeah. They were all trading belts, and DC would just be able to keep it. It's like when he fought Derek Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a heavy, I know that's a heavy
one,
but like
the class difference was evident, wasn't it?
And he had a bad back as well, didn't he?
Pulled his back in the morning. Pulled his back, and almost pulled the fight, yeah. So that like you said, if he's almost like he's Jon Jones. If Jon Jones is Ali, then DC's Fraser. You know, if the other guy went about, they need a reign for a long, long time.
It's a shame like Jon couldn't have got the weight together and gone up at heavyweight and done that.
Yeah,
it would have been awesome.
It would have been nice to see, in my opinion, Jon, like you say, almost come off the back of beating DC, because he was talking about fighting Brock Lesnar at one point, just going straight up and doing it, because I think he would have beat Brock. And
keep talking about it.
we got a camera malfunction, but I think I don't know. I mean, fucking hell, I say he would have beat Brock, but if he is walking around at 230, Brock's like 300 fucking pounds. So how do you say that? You know, again, you're not necessarily in this game. The best skill set doesn't always necessarily win, in my opinion.
Brock wasn't the best skilled heavyweight, was he?
But he's just a freak,
animal,
freak athlete, freak power, freak strength. Could explode like, you know, it could explode like he was my weight, but he's 300 pounds. So, but like. Freak show fights like that would have been great to see back then. You know, they lose a bit of buzz now, don't they? Because Jon's been gone for so long. But we never know. Hopefully we see him before the end of the year. Hopefully Francis gets the Tyson Fury freak show fight. And then them two can meet further down the line.
Fury's already said, and he's coming out of retirement for the Usyk AJ winner.
Yeah, well, I seen...
Accordingly, anyway. I
seen a report of it, but then I seen him... like quote retweet it and say absolute bullshit. Right. Where's this come from? So, but you don't ever know with who he plays the mind games well. Then he may well have said it, and then I thought, oh no, I want to let I'll keep it under wraps till the fight comes. But
should we have a look at some of these videos?
He plays both sides. Fury. He's a lot smarter than people want to think. Fury. He's the same as McGregor. He doesn't do anything without a reason. Doesn't post anything without a purpose behind it. But enough serious talk. Let's get into some of these videos.
I'm guessing
you're a bit.
I've heard they're funny anyway. We haven't watched them because we thought we'd leave it for now. We'll get these up on the screen. It already looks funny, doesn't it? Have you seen any clips of this at all?
So I know who sent this. I won't mention his name because he said he doesn't want me to mention him in case his friends rip him. So I won't mention his name, but he told me he was sending the video, and I've literally seen just the screenshot of how he looks. I haven't seen what the video says or what he asks. I feel like the mullet wig is maybe him trying to impersonate a certain bantamweight, but
possibly, or Rockstar, who knows?
Yeah, we'll see now. We'll see what he's got to say.
Hey, Jack Shaw, Ricky Simone here. Not Ricky Simon, like some of you fools in the UK are saying. Better to hear what the Simon Says jokes. Anyway, here you've been asking some podcast questions. Well, I've got some questions for you, sucker. First, here from a place called Wales. Whereabouts in England is that, boy? Never heard of it. And I also understand you say some ridiculous things like, all right, but. What the hell does that mean? You asking if I've got a problem with my asshole? And you also say things like, whose coat's that jacket? What? Coat, jacket, they're the same thing. Anyway, here's a question for you.
Come on, Rick, get the question.
What round you gonna beat me in when we fight? I need to book a taxi for after the fight. So tell me, so I can pre-arrange that.
What round, Sam?
What round?
Bud.
What round, bud? To be honest, like the way I'm feeling in training at the minute, it's I'm in two minds because obviously I know what Ricky brings to the table. I know he's very he puts a lot of pressure on. He's obviously very wrestle heavy and he sets good pace. So there's part of me sort of sees it going a little bit like the last fight where I don't think he'll tire like Timur did. I don't think he'll tire. I think it'll just be a case of me sort of trying to neutralize his game plan and just forcing him to fight my fight whether he gets tired or not. But I always say it. I'm not a wrestler or an out-and-out wrestler. My wrestling is all MMA based. It's mixed in with jiu-jitsu and striking. So I've got a couple of little tricks up my sleeve, and I do think I'll pull him away. I'll catch him in something or with something. It may even be early on as well. It may shock a few people. People think I like these decisions now, but it may come out. I got a feeling it's going to be. I think it might be early, round 1 or 2. I think depends how how fast he wants to engage and how fast he engages and whether he engages like I think he's going to engage. 'Cause I think he will. I don't think he'll come out and not try and wrestle because I'm a good wrestler. I think he'll ultimately go to that. So, yeah, I think first or second round, I think I'm going to catch him with one of these little tricks that old Carl and my old man have been stuffing up the sleeve.
That sounds interesting, mate. We'll have to get some bets on that. I think.
Don't be betting on it though, and then messaging me after saying, "Oh, you said first round and it went the decision." Or you told me to bet first round and caught him in the first, because that's what people do. Believe it or
Guys,
not,
hold him accountable.
Yeah, don't hold me accountable. Bet at your own risk.
He's got a little bit more on you.
We've got another minute of Ricky Simone lookalike.
We're sick of thinking about him, aren't you? Let alone seeing him.
Yeah. Simon or Simone? What did he say it is? It's Simone.
Simone,
Here's the proper question
Skills name, it.
that I'd like you answering. What's your take on some of the other American UFC fighters talking like WWE superstars, brother? Whoa! Yeah! Woohoo! Yeah, brother. What's your take on that, eh?
You know what? You know, I quite like it, to be honest. It's a bit of a breath of fresh air rather than because McGregor did what he did so well. There was a stage for like 2 or 3 years where everyone tried to be the same. You know, chuck the suit on, get in your face at the weigh-in, and you know, just talk. Oh, you're not on my level. You know this. You know that ways. I quite like I grew up watching WWE. I've been to a couple of the shows live. I was a massive, even like my teammate Oban Elliott. You know, a lot of the promos he cut at WWE. It reminded me of Chael Sonnen.
He loves it, doesn't he?
Even Kobe. I know Kobe's taking it like a little bit further and a little bit more sort of X-rated, but you can see he's a character. You know, he's not. I don't think it's who he is. I listen to podcasts and stuff, and I think it's almost like he's formed this character in order to sell tickets. So I like it if you can pull it off. You know, do it. I don't think some people take it personally and stuff like that, but I think it's good for the sport and it merges the two. But also you got to remember that you can have that character, but you got to be able to back it up. You know, this end of WWE where some people will take it personal. You know, if you're going to say certain things and do about certain people and, you know, disrespect family and coaches and stuff like that, and then you want to be friendly with people backstage and shake their hand and, it's only this. It doesn't work like that. You know, like the same. I mean, like in the last weigh-in, he wanted to give it the big I am on the stage, and then he wanted to be my friend straight after, and I was like, no, fuck.
Was it? Yeah.
I was like, fuck, fucking get from me. So you know who you're dealing with. If you've got a guy who'll entertain it, great. But if you're gonna say things and try and get in my face at the weigh-in and stuff, which that's fine. That's part of the sport. I get all that, but don't try and be my friend then. Between the weigh-in and the fight, because you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it the next day. We can shake hands and be friends after the fight. That's no problem. But if you want to play the antics before the fight, then make sure you carry it right up until the fight. No, let's not be pally out the back. Yeah.
You can't see McGregor being pally out the back.
No, but McGregor's
on
not.
Him all week,
McGregor's not. That's part of his. That's part of his strategy and his. That's just who he is. I think he's a confrontational. Same with Nate and Nick. You know, they'll tell you to fuck off and flip you off, but they're not going to try and shake your hand and be respectful out the back. That's how it is. So, you know, be who you are. As I say, I'm not really a trash talker or a WWE star, but, you know, I'm respectful and all that. And if you want to shake my hand, I'll fight week. That's fine, but I don't want to be your friend, and I don't want to sit there and have a conversation and chat and stuff like that. So, be how you are in front of the camera. I think, you know, either if you're not going to be there off the camera, respect that your opponent might feel the same way about you off the camera as he does on the camera. Do you know, if that makes sense? I know.
Yeah, it does. They're not necessarily playing the same game you are.
No, of course not. Exactly.
And that's part of why that game works though as well. If like, say for instance, he gets funny with you and you take it personally and seriously, kind of that helps.
Of course it does.
In its own way,
of course it does. But again, if you do take it personally and seriously, then you can't expect the other person to just switch off then when the camera goes away. You know what I mean? That if they're offended on camera, they probably offended off camera as well. Yeah,
that's funny actually you saying that, because he was trying to cause a bit of a stir at the weigh-in, wasn't he, Timur? And then
he was weird.
Was he trying to like say all right to you after?
He's a weird guy. Like, he was a weird guy. He was shaking my hand and stuff before the weigh-in. Like, you know, even before the stare off, it was funny because I went for a piss before the public weigh-ins, and as I'm coming out the toilet, coming in, and he's like smiled and shook my hand and said, like, oh, good luck. So I like said to my old man, I was like, oh, I think this is going to be a pretty respectful weigh-in. And then all of a sudden, he's grabbing my head and fucking Dana's tamping with him, and then out the back, he's like trying, come to shake my hand and again, and I'm like, no, get from me. It was Corey McKenna will vouch that as well, because Corey, basically they have like a fighter meeting, and your coaches can't come, so it's just a fight. It was me and Corey McKenna, and she was like, oh, that was a bit awkward. So yeah, sorry about that one, Corey.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There's all these things you don't know about. Like, do you? We only see what you
only see what you see on the camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, like keep
insight.
the same. The old Kamaru Usman saying, just keep the same energy off the screen and in the cage as you go. You know, when the cameras are on.
Yeah, I watched highlights anyway of him and Leon again.
Yeah,
this morning, just because like it's obviously going to be coming up now. They've booked the date, haven't they?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
August the 20th, I think it is.
Is it? Yeah, that'll be quality.
You know, I haven't even watched the first fight. I've never watched that first fight.
You wouldn't really know they fought before, would you? Like, if you're kind of like a fair weather fan, and I wasn't like really watching it that much when they actually fought years ago. Like, it's not a fight you'd have been looking at.
Well, I think it was. I seen the card get shared the other day from back 17. I think it was a prelim, like a Fight Pass prelim. That's how long ago it was. So there's not a lot you can take from it. But you know, I was listening to Leon this morning on Ariel, and I really like Leon. Like, I think he's legitimately got a chance. I know, like, Usman is very good, and you know, people are very high on him, but I don't think he's fought a striker of Leon's caliber yet. You know, Burns can punch, you know, and he is a good striker, but you know, he's predominantly a jiu-jitsu guy who's learned to strike. And not to say because Burns has got a fucking very good level stand-up, but I just think Leon's there. Burns is a very good striker, and I think Leon's like an elite level striker. Yeah. And I think Leon, I'm not saying Leon's a better wrestler. I think Usman's the better wrestler, but I think Leon will be able to put up a lot of good defense in the wrestling, in the clinch. So yeah, I'm rooting. I hope he does it, and I hope he brings a big show then to the UK, a big pay-per-view show, which he deserves, because he's had he had to win 10, 11 fights.
Yeah, he's had a.
It's bizarre to me, like 10 fights to have to get a title, and people forget. You know, he took the Nate Diaz fight he didn't have to take. He was up for fighting Khamzat. I know Khamzat pulled out because of COVID, but Khamzat wasn't even ranked. You know, no one wants to fight Khamzat. Leon's like, I'll fight him. You know, if that doesn't show you how confident he is in his skills, then, you know, that in itself should be something for Usman to worry about, in my opinion. That he's so confident he'll literally fight anyone. And
it's frustrating as well, isn't it? That when you actually like delve into him a little bit, I watched him on the James English and things like that. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a hell of a backstory as well. And why isn't he being?
It all comes down because he doesn't talk. You know, he's not afraid of. You see him having like the confrontations with Masvidal, and he used to have run-ins with Till and stuff. But because he's not a shit talker, you know, he's not a WWE character. He's not out there talking shit. He's just concerned about being the best fighter in the world and proving it in there. And like you said, what a story he's got. Like, father was murdered, I think, wasn't he?
Was he a drug dealer?
I'm not sure. I hope I'm not like saying something that didn't happen now, but I'm sure like his father was killed from Jamaica, moved to London at a young age. You know, like his brother's a top contender in Bellator. Like, what hell of a story. Like, imagine they made a film on him. It would sort of be like, it'd be one of them films you watch, like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? So,
and to come to do what he's doing now.
Exactly. I hope he gets. I hope he wins the belt, and I hope he gets every bit of success afterwards. And I hope they make films and documentaries, and then he blows up and becomes this big pay-per-view, because he deserves to be. Who else is on an 11-fight win streak? You know, there's no one.
He's a bit like of an anomaly as well. Like, 'cause you don't really hear a lot about him, do you? He's not in the media that much.
No, and what I love about him is he said it on the interview with Ariel. He said, I want to prove that you can win a UFC belt from the UK. You know, the days of where you've got to go to America and Russia and everywhere like that to do your training camps are long gone. You're like, you can get good enough in the UK. You know, look at his level. I know Arnold trains at TriStar, but Arnold has done a lot of training over here. Tom Aspinall has done all his training over here. Till, like myself, we're all home British grown talent. So it just goes to show you. And McGregor trained in Ireland. It's technically not the UK, but McGregor done all his training in Ireland.
Yeah.
For every camp.
That's even less of like a pool to pick from.
I know he up and moves his camps to, now he's got the money to America, but he doesn't train with American coaches. He takes his coaches and his training partners with him. The talent and the coaches and the teams over here is sky high. It's just only now people are starting to click onto that.
Yeah. Do you get like asked that a lot? Are you going to go over to America?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that?
And look, there is the great thing with going to America is there's not so much the quality of the training, it's the quantity. Like, where's a sparring session at my gym may have 20 boys on the mat. When I was out in Jackson's, there's 50 boys on the mat. I'm assuming it's the same way in Vegas, like Extreme Couture and stuff like that. So if you're fighting a unique style, then you can probably go to a gym in America and there may be 4 or 5 guys that you can spar with that have similar styles. Whereas maybe over here, sometimes you've got to bring guys in or arrange sparring elsewhere. But it's easily done. You know, I'm not against going to America to get some training in. I want to go myself before the end of the year. But at the same time, I just feel like training camps and coaching team, there's no need to just up and leave.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, mate, it's like, I think a lot of people from the outside, they see that, don't they? They think it's a good move to go and stuff, but they're not like seeing what you boys are doing either, are they?
No, exactly. They're not.
Stuff,
we don't get the coverage over here because it's getting there, but it's not a mainstream sport at the minute. It's not, you know, it's not covered on the 6 o'clock news, and we're not, like, I'm not spoke about the same way that the Welsh rugby players and the Welsh, even Joe Cordina as well. Like, we haven't even mentioned that, but big fucking one achievement now is Joe Cordina, Wales' 13th world boxing champion, first one we've had for a good few years. But yeah, even Joe now, like, obviously he's on the BBC and he's having open workouts and he's getting paraded at the football games, and not looking at it like, oh fucking hell, that should be me, because what he's achieved, he's number one in his weight as good as. So I'm not like trying to say, oh, that should be me, but what I'm saying is boxing and rugby and football, they're mainstream over here, whereas MMA's not quite there yet. But out in America, it is there. You know, It is a mainstream sport. There's gyms on every high street in America, so they do naturally get a little bit more coverage over there. So hence why people over here see all the footage, like, oh, you want to get out there, but they don't see the level of training we got over here either. So yeah, I don't think you need. I think it's great to go out there and train, experience it, but I don't think you need to up and move your camp, you know, to be a world champion. Yeah,
I seen, like, I was thinking about this morning when I seen Jiri's Welcome Home. Did you see that? I was thinking to myself, would that happen here? Like, do you know what I mean?
Fucking hell. I mean,
you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Like, if you would say to bring the belt to Wales or whatever. But, like, I don't know.
I'd like to think so.
I think you'd get, like, a hell of a response.
Yeah, I think you'd get a response like that. Would you get, like, an open bus parade like the Welsh rugby team would have after winning the Six Nations? Probably not. And put it into perspective, is winning the Six Nations as big a deal as winning a world title in terms of talent? Yeah, it's probably not, is it? Winning a World Cup in rugby is, because you're ultimately the best team in the world. But winning the Six Nations, you're the best team of 6. So, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, because they do. They're elite level sports person. But I can guarantee, like, if the treatment the Welsh stars would get for winning a World Cup, or Joe is getting for winning a world title, if I was to win the UFC belt now, I'm not saying I wouldn't get a lot of publicity and I wouldn't get big crowds and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be in the mainstream as much. You know, they wouldn't be covering it on BBC News Wales. You know, whereas I've seen, like, Cordina has been on, and he deserves to be on the 100%. Not saying that none of these guys don't, they do, but I just think we're a little bit off. I think the next generation coming through are probably going to reap the rewards of it more than I have, kind of thing. You know, people like Johan and Liam and Bevan from my gym especially, in 10 years' time when they're my age and they're possibly in the UFC or on the cusp of the UFC or maybe even pushing for a UFC belt, then I think they will be mainstream stars. But it's just not there. It's just not there at the minute. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, that's it. And even though it's not there, you're still further along than, like, Marshman and all that. It's just the progression.
Exactly, yeah.
Of it,
so, like, the publicity Marshman got is more than what my old man and them lot were getting. The publicity I'm getting is probably more than what Marshman got his time. Again, now these boys coming through will see it a little bit more than I have. So we're not a million miles from it. Maybe a Welsh UFC champion will help blow it up in Wales. Who fucking knows?
Hopefully, mate.
Hopefully I get a little open bus parade through the mean streets of Apleary.
That'd be wild, wouldn't it? Fucking hell. I even think, like, Joe's win, for, like, how the way he did it, like, it was hyped for, like, a day or two. I think that's, like, undersold. Yeah, like, really.
What baffles me with the Joe situation is he hasn't really been spoke about by the Welsh media until this fight. And it's like, Joe trains up in Essex, but I've watched Joe, like, Joe. I've always been a big boxing fan. I remember when he turned pro, I was excited. I was like, oh, fucking hell, Cordina's going pro. I remember watching him on the telly. I was on all day in Spain. I remember watching him on the TV in the Commonwealth Games or the European, something like that. But because he trains up in Essex, he's almost like out of sight, out of mind. You don't necessarily see, like, he doesn't, I don't know, he just doesn't seem to gain the publicity that some of the other Welsh boxers has. But, you know, he's obviously the top, he's the most talented Welsh boxer on the circuit at the minute. He's a fucking world champion, you know. So, like you said, it was bizarre to me that he didn't get no real push or publicity till fight week. Hopefully now they can build him. I seen online he wants to fight Shakur Stevenson in the Millennium. And that'd be a fucking fight. That would blow him up as a megastar.
He's got a hell of a personality as well, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I had him on my podcast, right? And he's just like the soundest guy ever, but he's got like, he won't take any shit.
No, he's got a bit of edge to him.
Yeah.
He's a character as well. You can, like, I've never trained with Joe, but to keep it short then, the gym where I train with Gary Lockett, when Joe's home from Essex, that's his old amateur gym, so he comes in and trains, uses the pads. He's got Sorrel who does pad work and stuff, and just to pretty much just keep him in shape, I think, whilst he's home. And I've trained side by side with him as I've been training, or as I've been finishing up, he's coming in and training, and just to watch him hit the pads and watch him work the bags, you just think, fucking hell, he's so good, he's so sharp, he's so and even Gary says, Gary's been saying it for years, he's world class.
Yeah,
he is world class.
He looks different, doesn't he? He just looks different to anyone else.
He's so clean, like, he's just so good, and not like good to watch because he's in barn burners and stuff like that. It's just the way, like, someone, like, for me, I appreciate technique. I love boxing because there's a sweet science, and just to watch his technique and how crisp he is. There's no wasted movement. He doesn't throw a punch. He's never out of position. He doesn't throw anything that doesn't need to be thrown. He doesn't leave himself open. He's just so crisp. Like that fucking punch that he knocked that boy out with. It's a perfect punch. It was literally a perfect punch. Threw it perfect. Timed it perfect.
Planned it.
Landed it perfect. Set it up. It was just fucking incredible to watch, to be honest.
This is how I look at this. What's going on here?
It's alright, we got the shitty camera filming us anyway.
It's all good.
We're all good. Just a couple of little technical difficulties, that's all.
We're snagging still. We're snagging.
We got any other videos?
We have, yeah. I was going to say as well, you know that, like, obviously Joe knocked this Agawa out, but the one before, did you, like...
Exactly the same punch, pretty much,
That guy looked like you took the wheels off a skateboard deck and you slid it across the floor, didn't he?
And Joe's not known as a puncher as well, that's the funny thing. Like, he's not known as a big power puncher, but fucking hell, you're knocking guys out like all week it was like, oh, Agawa's a power puncher and Joe's got to try and burn him out and stay away from the power, and then he does that. Second round. It's bizarre. Not bizarre to me, but it's like he's not considered this power punch and he just starched his last two people in like less than 3 rounds.
He had bad hands, didn't he, for a while? But he reckons A1 now, so
they
must make the...
they've looked A1 in his last 2 fights.
They're breaking faces, aren't they? Let's have a look. Yeah, we've got this other video now.
Big Tommy. Shout out Big Tommy Egan, the Boston Savage.
See what he's got to say.
Alright, I got 2 questions. Tommy Egan here, those of you who don't know me. So I have 2 questions, one serious one
just before we edit it,
but
Tommy did tell me we might want to cut the non-serious question out.
Is it?
Yeah, he said it might be a bit. He says up to you. It might be a bit too much, but we'll do the serious one and then we'll see what the non-serious one says.
First serious one, Jack. So can you explain the difference between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu? Because I know you and your dad both study both. So can you? Because I've never even heard of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. So can you explain the difference between those two, if there's even a difference? And
yeah, go on. Let's answer that one. Yeah. So without getting too indulged in the history box, I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu pretty much originated from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. There's a guy called Miyoto Misa. I can't remember his name now. My mum's gonna fucking kill me for this. There was a Japanese guy came over to Brazil, and he sort of taught Helio and I think it was Carlson Gracie. He taught them Jiu-Jitsu, and then obviously they've adapted it and became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the best way to describe it in terms of modern day for training, for us anyway, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a lot more sport based. So you roll in to score points, to score submissions. You're not afraid to work off your back. It's not very like, it's realistic in terms of when you roll, you know, like the other guy's obviously trying to pin you and choke you out. It's not staged, I don't mean that. But with Japanese jiu-jitsu, it's almost more self-defense based, street based, if you want to call it that. Like I remember watching my old man train in Japanese jiu-jitsu. It was, and they tell you, like, you know, if it comes to a knife or a bat, if you can fucking running out there, this will give you a 1% better chance. But it's more like being able to defend yourself if someone's trying to punch you. So, you know, like even I remember going to seminars and they would work like groin shots, eye gouges, whilst mixed in with being able to sort of neutralize your opponent with obviously like kimuras, wrist locks, stuff like that. So Japanese jiu-jitsu is probably a little bit more like striking based. So you'll start on the feet in a gi, but you'll chuck a pair of gloves on. And it's like, right, spar, get him down and work your sub. Or, you know, in Japanese jiu-jitsu, you don't want to be on your back because you got to be wary of your opponent striking down. You know, you got to be, you want to try and stay on top of your opponent, secure, lock them down, and neutralize the threat pretty much. Whereas Brazilian jiu-jitsu is more sport-based. You score points, you score advantages. You know, you can pull guard because you don't got to worry about someone shinning you in the face or smashing you in the face. So Japanese jiu-jitsu is probably a little bit... The easiest way to explain it is imagine MMA-based jiu-jitsu then, where you want to be on top. You don't have someone... You know, like in MMA, you're never going to pull someone into half guard at the wrist. They're going to start dropping elbows on you. So it's like basically jiu-jitsu for MMA, but obviously it's almost self-defense based then, where you're trying to... If someone's going to attack you, Japanese jiu-jitsu will probably give you a better chance. And Brazilian jiu-jitsu will give you a chance of neutralizing a threat. But the Brazilian jiu-jitsu that the Gracies started with is a lot different to Brazilian jiu-jitsu nowadays, in my opinion. Brazilian jiu-jitsu nowadays is a sport. It's not... it's a combat sport, but it's not at the same time. It's like a... You
do things that would get you maybe
like,
messed
you know,
up.
I watch... Like, you got elite level grapplers who I could roll with, and they probably sub me in 30 seconds. You know, could pull guard and fucking heel up me, or pull guard and do something. But if you pull guard, I mean, I got a set of gloves on, or it's a street fight, and you pull guard, I mean, I'm on top of you, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So, like, current Brazilian jiu-jitsu, not including, like, the Gracie Brazilian jiu-jitsu that originated, but, like, modern-day Brazilian jiu-jitsu is more sport-based, more point-based, is a little bit more PG, whereas Japanese jiu-jitsu is a little bit more full-on.
Yeah.
In short, you know, I can speak about it all day. You get my old man to answer that question, you want a 3-hour podcast.
He'd be well in on it.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to school you about your history now.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be like, how the fuck didn't you know that?
Right, see his non-serious one then. See if we got to remove it or not.
That'll do. Yeah, we'll cut the sound on that one. I'll just say shout out to the Savage, Nogi Will. Youngster trains at the gym, coming through the ranks. Got a couple of no headshot fights, Will has. So yeah, he trains hard, he's working hard, and no doubt he'll be on the circuit himself in a couple of years. We'll leave it at that.
Inside joke, is it?
Inside joke, yeah.
Fair play, man. He's a hell of a supporter, isn't he?
Tommy's the man. Tommy's a fucking legend. Like, I've never met Tommy in person. Only through like Twitter and online. And really loyal guy. Support everything I do. You know, every post, every tweet. You know, anything he shares. He's. You know, I've like over the space of 6 months, I've amassed some sort of following in Boston, where he's from, of his friends and his family and other people he knows who are into fights. They're all now like fans of mine, and probably wouldn't know me if it weren't for Tom. You know, I'm sure he won't mind me saying he's got friends in jail who write to him and ask, you know, how's Jack getting on and when's Jack fighting next? Yeah. And you know, these are people I never met, and yeah, really, really loyal guy. You know, he doesn't like the praise and being on camera too much and stuff like that, but he's a gentleman, and yeah, a good friend of mine now. You know, come from a guy who we was in the same group chat about Nick Diaz, me, him, and Brock, to becoming a friend. So yeah, great guy. Shout out Tommy Egan, and hopefully I'll get to meet him in New York. I think him and his missus are looking for tickets. No doubt they'll get them. I don't think it's a sellout just yet, so he's going to do his best to get there, he said. So yeah, It's a shame you ain't coming. We could have documented that.
You'd have to get a photo of it, wouldn't you?
I'm sure he's got a couple of little sweets and gummies for me and my old man to maybe try.
Better be after the fight, is it? Or?
Oh yeah, nothing. All PG stuff. So just to fatten me up after the fight. That's all.
You don't want to be having them too close.
Yeah, but yeah, shout out to the main man, Tommy Egan.
Happy days. I don't know if we got anything else to cover there, mate.
No, we've had a good one, eh? We've gone on a right fucking tangent from the fights to Joey Cordina to
the videos have been class as
to
well,
Ricky Simone mullet video to the man Tommy Egan. Yeah. So what's that? Episode 6
in the bank.
We'll Joe's back now. Joe stopped skiving. He's back off his honeymoon. He got no excuse now, so we'll be back regular. When's this going out next?
Probably Sunday, Monday, something like that.
Yeah, so this is if this goes out, if it's Monday today for you, we got Cage Warriors Wales on Saturday. The boys, we got a couple of title fights, got a couple of youngsters fighting, so keep your eye out for them. And me and Joe obviously wish them well. We'll be there supporting, and I'm looking forward to a good show. And we'll do a podcast for them, but don't forget to check out the New York's Calling episode 1 vlog on my YouTube channel. Should already be there by now, hopefully, if Joe pulls his finger out.
He'll be there, Sam.
And obviously, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Any guests, potential guests watching, shoot us a message. We're looking for people to come on. So
definitely.
Thank you all for watching, as per, and we shall see you soon.
Peace out. And I think as well, anyone who ever wants to send a video in, just send it through to the Instagram, and we'll load it up. Yeah,
let's just clear that, because I've had a couple of people send me videos. And as you can imagine, I get quite a lot of messages, so they can get lost sometimes. I have, if I don't follow you, I have message requests that I don't see till weeks after they've been sent. So if you do want to send a video submission or just type out a question, send it to the Tanked Up Podcast on Instagram, and Joe will get it over. Don't forget to follow that page as well.
Wicked. Happy days. Nice one, mate.
On a plate, mouthpiece like listening to a strally bang. If it's weak, we ain't losing. Keep it moving like a caravan. See feds at the back door. Get though, it's what we trap for. Some man, they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, roll stack, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off.